November in the state of Maine can be bitterly cold, which is why John and Jolene Turner had such a sinking feeling when they walked into their daughter's apartment one chilly autumn day and found all the windows wide open.
And there was a fan that she had that was blowing air out of the apartment in the middle of November.
At that point, it had been 3 days since Samantha Folsom's parents reported her missing. They had gained access to her apartment to retrieve her cat.
And so I opened the closet door where the cat carrier was, and there she was.
There she was. I'm sorry.
It was their 26-year-old daughter, Samantha Folsom, murdered and stuffed into the closet.
When I saw it, it was like almost, I felt like her soul had gone through me, and it threw me back 6 feet against the wall. Thank God for one thing, that her head was down and I didn't see her face. But still, the memory of that haunts me.
State police immediately take over the investigation, and though Samantha's exact cause of death is not immediately revealed, there's no secret who may have wanted her dead: her estranged husband and the father of her child, Jesse Folsom. According to Samantha's mom, Jesse had abused her daughter in the past, and her death came not long after the couple split up. Also, it was reported that Sam had already found a new boyfriend, all reasons Jesse might have been enraged. But there was one little problem with that lead.
Jesse was in jail.
Former newspaper reporter Scott Dolan explains.
He was in jail for assaulting Sam's boyfriend, who she had after they split up.
But maybe Jesse wasn't the only one with a motive. What about that new boyfriend? Apparently, Sam had recently broken it off with him as well. And according to her mom, it's because he too was abusive. The problem is, that was also his alibi.
The boyfriend was in jail for assaulting her. Jesse was in jail for assault of the boyfriend.
It just was crazy.
Two seemingly prime persons of interest, cleared by other crimes, and after that, it appeared there weren't many other places to look.
People were baffled. Sam had her problems. She had an addiction, but everyone described her as like a happy, joyous person. She had friends, and she was focused on taking care of her son. She was trying to get clean and stay clean.
In fact, investigators appeared to have so little to go on, they didn't even classify Samantha's death as a murder.
Initially, after Sam's death, they said it was undetermined. It was a year later that the state police issued a statement saying that it had been declared a homicide. I talked to the spokesman for the state police, and he said that it had been a homicide all along. They just didn't announce it. To me, that means that they had a lead and that they couldn't get to the end of that lead. So at that point, they were hopeful that something else would push the case a little bit closer.
And Scott says that's where he came in.
I was working at the Portland Press-Herald as a reporter, and I looked back to see what reporting had been done on her death, and there was very little writing. So I decided to go investigate, interview a lot of people, and find any leads I could find.
First, he talked to police, but they could only say so much.
The head detective at the time, he told me that they had leads, and they were closing in, and but it was still an open investigation.
That's when Scott talked to Samantha's neighbors, and that's where he says he learned a lot more about the investigation.
I think the most important interview I did of a neighbor. She lived right next door to Sam, and she's the one who told me. Detectives came to her door, and they showed her that picture of this person, and they asked her if they recognized this person.
Scott says the picture was of a man with a dark complexion who was wearing a shirt and tie and some sort of badge.
And that was the only person they asked her about.
And he says the neighbor also told police about a conversation she had with Samantha not long before she was killed.
They said that someone had come to Sam's door either the day before or day of, knocking and calling for her. Said that Sam was terrified of whoever was knocking on her door.
Was that person the same man in the picture being circulated by police? And why would he come knocking in the first place?
From what I gathered, Sam was in the drug world. She was trying to get clear of it. I think it was probably someone from her past or some acquaintance who was drawing her back in.
We reached out to Maine State Police for a comment, and while they declined to give any official statements on camera, they were present during our investigation and confirmed that even after 6 years, this case is still very much open and active.
If people have information or knowledge, they still should contact the Maine State Police. They're the lead investigators. If there's any closure to be brought to this homicide investigation, they're the ones who are going to bring it.
What defines closure at this point is hard to say, but in the years since their daughter's death, life for John and Jolene no longer resembles what it once was.
After that, the whole thing went to hell. Just the bottom dropped off.
And our last Christmas.
Our family life, the dynamics is completely screwed up. Jolene and I have been married for 35 years, and now we've been divorced for 2.
It split her parents apart. They were a close-knit family. They were a strong family. But the grief, it was too much. It was too much. And I think it haunts Jolene and John.
The nighttime is the worst because I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder from finding her in the condition she was in. At her funeral, I was her pallbearer, and I was the one who pushed her coffin into the storage room because I didn't want to leave her. It was all we had left.
And yet, as hard as it's been through all the pain and uncertainty, there are a few things Jolene says she knows for sure. Simple truths that help ease the nightmares.
At the end of it all, I know 2 places where she is. Down the road at St. Peter's Cemetery and in heaven.
Now it's time for you at home to help this family heal. If you know anything about the murder of Samantha Folsom, quit protecting this killer and come forward. All tips can be made to the Maine State Police. That number is 1-207-657-3030. Also, you can submit a tip anonymously to our website, crimewatchdaily.com. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.